Okay, so we'll try this a second time. I made a terrible mistake in not double checking my OBS before recording this session. My mic was off, or actually unassigned for the entirety of it. So much of this session is me pointing around with my pointer and PYUYU occasionally saying something and then saying lots of things and communicating with absolutely silent hand signing NPCs. So what we're doing now is I've got a couple of people who are here who watch the session live. We are going to peanut gallery attempt to piece together what I might have said during these conversations, and that way we'll have the whole thing somewhat neatly packaged for future reference. So this should be fun. I'll be sure to talk whatever I remember. But if anybody else remembers things that I didn't, we can definitely just blast them at it, because I don't think that this is going to be clean no matter what we try. But everybody is welcome to chime in if they remember things. Please try to not make anything up. I guess we're trying to replicate if we can. So if you remember details, throw those details in there. That'll be great. All right, I'm gonna start it, and then we'll go from there. If I recall, these first 2 or 3 minutes are me giving a small recap.
And explaining where we are. Oh,
there she is. And then me interrupting her and continuing the recap. Amazing, very good.
Yes, we were deciding this is episode 20.75 since the 20.5 is already taken. And I believe I explained soon, or you explained to me, that we're on the Gatra's wall level, which is one level below Peru's wall, which is right above the ground floor of Rubrandi, where the refugees live. And we are starting here because this is where Akogi was attacked, and we agreed to do a time skip, but I think I explained that in the video.
That's right, because Beck had flown down and taken Akogi up, and the Gidon all came down on a hoverboard and crashed it, and then took off into the alleyways, and they went hunting. And then Poori got dropped off with you guys.
And to clarify, this is like a little, just so people plus, this is a little bit of a time rewind from episode 20, as that's like when we already get back to the camp. So this is rewinding a little bit on her end, just because we have some scheduling issues and didn't want to have 0 D&D for 4 weeks. So we're kind of wobbling the timelines.
Yeah.
Maker says, "Wow, you're so cool." You know, that's such an insightful thing to say.
Wow, you're so cool. That's exactly what I said.
Yep.
Alright. And then I think pretty soon I eventually go on and start explaining what
much appreciated
is actually happening. I wish I remembered exactly what I would say.
Alright, so lay the scene for me.
Okay, yeah, so you asked me to lay the scene, and I started telling you about Gotter's Wall and how this is the area. I start finally using my pointer to let future me know what I was talking about. I explained that you're on this one, which is one from the bottom, like you said. And up above, I circle around Puru's house a little bit. And this is the area where Akoki was attacked. And then you guys split up, and I give the details on that, which we've already been over.
And how, because PYUYU is traveling with Poori and Voy, or is standing with them near the bloodied alleyway, painted with the Kogi. So, how are these two?
Then I think I told you something about Voy being uneasy.
And Poori is upset with Peru. Or Poori is annoyed. And Voy is unnerved. I think that their discussion was all the way down the alley, and I didn't go
Oh,
back
yeah,
in there.
'cause
I
you-
just saw Pori walk out from the blood
I
alley,
mentioned
and
that
that
you might
I
have
may or
heard
may
them.
not have overheard.
Right. You might have heard them talking, but she came out in a huff. She's clearly frustrated. Because Puru left her to go hunt down some bad guys and said, "Go with these people, they'll be safe. Stay together."
Yes, what were you doing over there? You concerned?
Something about they heard a call for help and then they went looking, and then Puru was hunting, the Gidon went in the direction, and then she was told to go with you guys because Puru did not think that she'd be safe with him. Hand signs, because I definitely remember everything she said. No. Essie, do you remember?
She's probably explaining why she agrees with Peru because she's pregnant and it is dangerous, but also why it's a stupid idea for him
shake her
to.
head and think, look at her, stunned for a moment. He left you?
Oh yeah, I stammered a bit about how not left. That's a weird way of saying it. Didn't leave me, but he didn't think she'd be safe going on the hunt that he's going.
Cheon tried to kill a Kogi. This.
I think Essie's right. She was saying something about. I don't remember if she mentioned
was able.
being pregnant,
You
but
don't
they
need to
knew.
worry about him. We're worrying about you.
Oh yeah,
She'll
she wasn't
have-
worried.
Let's go someplace better.
Yeah, and you guys decide
But
to
where?
go somewhere. You guys discuss for a bit back and forth where actually to go.
Come on.
Going.
The food hall is nice and yeah, it'd be.
Okay, you guys mentioned the food hall. There's the refugee quarters.
Yeah, I struggle to figure out where we're going next.
There
but
was-
we
there was
consider
definitely-
our options based on like what she may need to talk with Voy about, but miffed for Pori's sake and considering where would be safe, and she doesn't have connections in Gatra quarters. The only other place I can think of is the team that we fought in the dodgeball tournament. They might also be miffed at Cheon's team and want to help more.
We talk, I think, about the Efir team, and we could hang around them, sure.
I mean, we ultimately don't go there, but
Yeah,
I think it was a
ultimately.
good consideration.
I forget what that
Yeah,
history check was
I-
for.
Overheard them talking with Bojo about it.
Oh yeah, where they live. Yeah, knowing their address and everything, being able to find them.
Look, I try my best.
You do good. You do fine.
Do you? Yes, yeah, we should stay together. And as she starts walking towards the necessary way, do you know why?
What?
I
Do you remember why? What?
mean, Cheon also killed Oh, asking why did Cheon kill is Doro? Okay. There's a lot of things. Doesn't her family have a house here? But it would be near the dodgeball practice arena, right? Because we upset her when we went there practice.
That's right. We were talking about going and finding Daoro because maybe she lived close by. So we started thinking about searching the area and see if we could find it, but nobody actually knew where it would be.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain it would be near the dodgeball arena. If you'd help me look. I don't want Daoro to get caught out on her own. Okay,
So I go and I hail a cab. I mean, giant bug. Plate shell. We get a plate shell to come and
we
pick us
hail
up.
so many cabs.
They were riding all over this town. Yeah, plate shell shows up. I take my sweet time pulling it out of storage and then making it the right size.
Yes. Oh yeah, it's big.
A
Scratch, scratch, scratch.
3x3. I need to edit the actual token on that sometime.
Yes. Scratch, scratch.
And then everybody hops on it, and then we go up the wall, all the way
Lovely.
up.
It's a bug friend.
And I describe going up the wall and what the houses look like, and
And you had such a beautiful description of each of the layers of the city and how it looks just peering down onto the ground floor.
yeah.
It
I
was
sure
so
did.
good, you gotta trust me.
I sure did. Yeah, you see, as you guys were passing here, Paori did look back over her house to make sure that it was still there, not covered in villains. I remember that. And then you guys got up to the floor that the stadium was on, in the hopes of finding Daoro's house. And the bug driver guy feeds his bug some wood slugs, and then you guys hop off. And then he continues going all the way up and off the map. Up towards the palace. And then goes back down. Yeah. And then you guys were all going to try and find her house.
Well, her house should be in her colors. She's seemed very proud of her clan and her work that she did with her father.
Which was a fair assessment, and so I had everybody roll, I think it was perception, to see if you guys could find it by walking around.
Thank goodness we had her. I had
Paori-
no eyeballs, so it was so bad.
Paori
Paori's
found...
probably worried about being so close to the palace. Or distracted by other things, who knows.
And then you guys waltz around through town, and you guys look and look and look, and Paori eventually finds a house that has fabric hanging from it that is in her house colors. And so you guys figure maybe she's there.
You've got really sharp eyes.
And then she says maybe we'll talk and see if somebody's in there, and so if she's home, maybe we should get her to go with us.
Oh yes, because I'd come to the realization, wait, has anyone checked on
Wasn't she
Doro?
working
He already
mostly
killed
with
Pata.
her father on the other tree?
So she may not come here very often. And maybe she wasn't always the Winona clan? Shrugs. I don't know
check.
either, I'm sorry.
Knock, knock, knock. And then, we call for her, and, knock, knock, knock. I roll, and she's not home, but I knock, knock, knock a whole bunch of times, and, get no response. Knock, 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 Doro. Knock, knock, knock. But there's no one home.
Maybe you were right. Maybe she's on the other side, I guess.
she'll mention that maybe she's just out and about doing busy things, because she did say she was pretty busy and maybe talking to the organization of the tournament.
We already finished the dodgeball tournament. I think she was asked to help Cup register her vehicle.
Oh yeah, where could
I
she
don't
be?
know where they do that.
Hmm.
And then the idea would be that, hey, maybe you guys had listened around, and I think I didn't recall, Pori didn't recall who would be in charge of that, because she's not actually involved in the tournament at
Oh,
all.
you're fine. Peru probably didn't ask you about joining or anything.
And then Voy
I
made
wouldn't-
his role, and he remembered. And I eventually mentioned that he remembers hearing Xanif's name thrown around at the racetrack when you guys were practicing. And that sounds like it might be an important person. Probably the noble in charge of that particular game. And then I showed what he looks like. Eventually. I was scrolling for it, and then I didn't do it.
You did. It just took you a little bit, and I think so. Yeah. I have no idea where they would be, though.
And then Pori explained that the city is divided into the clan walls, and how over here they're all green and blue because they're Gatra's clan. But if you look across the chasm, if you look across the city...
At the mention of the palace, Pew gives a glance to Voy. Oh, what?
Oh yeah, he's a noble, so he'd be up in the palace. That's what she was saying.
Okay.
Mhm.
Which wall are they in? And Voy does not like King Raz, and so
Mm-mm.
PYUYU is very nervous about...
Taking
doesn't
him up
want to
there.
leave Voy somewhere else,
And then I'm
but
explaining
also
how...
doesn't want to make things
Mhm.
worse. Okay.
explaining how the other side of the
Let me
tree,
see.
there's another wall that has his colors, they're red and tan.
Oh, right, they don't have paper. Okay, she will
And then I
She will get
explained
a ribbon.
Oh, and
they do have paper. It's just
and
inefficient and uncommon.
uncommon. Oh. Because in my mind, I'm like, I want to leave a message.
Yes.
Hey, we're looking for you. By the way, don't get fucking shamed.
Yeah.
And
She
then
will
you have a
get
very
ribbon
common
and
idea.
To the best of her
I did my
understanding,
best.
the customs like tie it on a pole or doorknob or something like that.
Yep.
this random person's gonna be like, who is green and gray trying to call me? Oh no.
Oh my.
It might help us find each other later. I'm not really sure. Well,
And
Kogi said I
expressed it.
can use these for sending messages, so maybe I can send Dora a message. And he will send a Kogi a nonsensical message meant for Doro.
Yay, pack texting.
PYUYU struggles with technology and wasn't taught how to change recipients.
Mm-hmm. And then you were gonna type it out.
Yeah, it
And-
takes a little
yeah,
bit.
and
for
I'll
me to
type
get
that
there.
out as we go to the other wall.
Alright. So then the group goes and hails another cab. As you send a Kogi a message for Doro. As you guys hail another cab, you all wind up going to the other wall. And then at some point I explained that Xanif's wall is very big on the animal culture. They raise Kyriakodons and various other pack animals and herd animals and the whole place. There are entire ribs of the wall dedicated to ranching. And you get very excited about the animals.
Yes, I do. I can't help it.
They're cute.
And I
They're
keep
bugs.
describing how great they are and how very animal-y they are. And
Okay, now she has to resist being distracted by critters.
There's-
So many critters.
there's critters everywhere.
They're everywhere. Okay, and then if you could type in the side chat the name of the clan,
Ah,
so that I
yes.
can get it right.
Alright, Xanif.
You know, I try.
T-Z-A-N-A-I-F.
Xana. Okay.
And he looks
Okay,
like
it shouldn't
this.
be hard to ask someone on this wall where the clan
Yay!
leader is, and it. Oh, very cute.
I stare at it for a
So-
while on my end.
I always close them like almost immediately, but
Well, because you made them. You know what
Yeah.
they look like.
I should let them linger slightly for the recording, I suppose. But then you search around, you ask people, and somebody eventually explains to you that he's not often down on the wall. He's usually up in the palace doing duties and whatever his noble duties are.
Diversion.
Yes, duties, and diversion. And then you send a text to Akogi that says, Voy, Pori, and I are all at your house, but you aren't
Okay.
home. We'll be back later. Okay, we worried about you.
So if he's usually in the palace, is that where we have to go to talk about the mount registrations and such for the race tomorrow?
And then somebody responds to you that, yeah, that's probably most likely. None of them, they're ranchers, and they're not going to know how to handle that or who's organized about that. But he would, and so going to the palace would work. So you're kind of left in a dead end, sort of.
bind.
And Paori offers helpfully that she petitioned for a bit of an audience with the king a bit ago for Peru, but that might give us excuse to go up there.
Yes. But I think there was a point here where she also says that she's not sure if it's been through yet, and she
So
doesn't really
you
want to
will
hang out at
think-
her house waiting for the response.
Beck isn't here,
Yes.
and she doesn't do event shenanigans like.
Oh yeah, I was assessing my
She just
options for the
doesn't.
palace.
She is. Well, I
Options
guess
to get
probably
it.
calling her a sensible little bean might be a bit much, but that's okay. She has her own naughtiness.
And then
She doesn't do
Pori
high crime.
mentions how she's been setting up to get Peru in there for an audience, and how we're waiting on that. What else happens here before you guys decide to move on up there?
I think we mostly just figure out that we're going to go up there.
Yeah, you guys chatted a bunch about going up to the palace, and then you do go up to the palace eventually. And you learn that you can't get in because her thing isn't ready and nobody's come to call.
You'll find a.
But we
Hopefully
didn't
they have something
need
like
to
some
get
nice
in,
benches or
truly,
whatnot to
because we were just
sit
there to
down
meet
and
up with someone
That's true.
Dora
talk
that we
between
thought was there.
us.
We weren't there for the king anyway.
It's fine.
Yeah. So you guys sat on a nice bench watching horse bugs run around. And then eventually you guys do hail another cab and go up to the palace. I'm going to skip forward a little bit here,
Yes.
because I don't remember exactly what else conversations happened here. Do you? I think a lot of it was debating whether to go to her house and hang out there, or wait with you guys, or just try and walk up there and try to get in anyway and see if they'll just let her in because she's on the list. So
Yes.
I'll skip forward a
And
little
I'm
bit.
nervous about going to the royal palace. And like every time it comes up, she just has the tick looking over.
Yep, Envoy
Um,
looks only slightly nervous each time. And then I'll skip forward a little bit here. because you guys do eventually decide to take a ride up there. And then I explain how you go and you get to the little platform, and then there's the bridge. As you cross the bridge, you can kind of look down and see the entirety of the city and all the various rainbow colors of all the different clan walls arranged in a circle. And it's really something to look at. Looking down to the very floor of the city, where you can see the twinkling lights of Firestone and how the whole city is organized and completely visible from the top. And as you cross the little bridge, you get to the other side, to the platform that surrounds the palace, which is built downwards like a cupcake from the, not like a cupcake, like a wedding cake down from the ceiling of the tree, and it just kind of tapers down to a smaller rung, which you guys get off the bridge to, and then there's a guard. And then he talks to you guys a little bit. Paori sends a pack message that is in all caps. I love you very much and hope you're safe, which she sends to PYUYU accidentally. And
Could
then
you at least let us know if Deoro? And
Is here?
PYUYU, thinking it's a
We're
Kogi,
actually-
replies to a
Replies
Kogi.
to a Kogi. And then you guys
And if
ask
she's
about
already left,
Deoro.
then we need to find her elsewhere.
And then the guard checks the list and sees that Deoro is not only has she been here, she is currently still in the building. And as you guys are discussing her, eventually she can be seen down the hallway. And she comes and meets up with you guys and is very surprised that you are here.
And we do a wave.
And there she is, and she waves, and then she joins you guys. I find her in my very poorly organized group of characters. Hey, and there she is. And she's very confused that you guys are here, and then
Are you okay?
she explains that she's fine. Should she not be? She hasn't heard
She's
anything
very
about the
suspicious.
events. She has
I
no
wanted to
idea
check
what's
in on
happened.
you and wanted to watch over and make sure you're okay. And her yeah.
She has no reason not to be okay. She has no idea what's happened. And she's just explaining that she was here, getting the things registered, making sure that the rules were all in place, and then Paori takes over.
We'll hold a hand to support.
And Paori will explain the whole thing about how Akogi was attacked in an alleyway, and how PYUYU stepped in and saved her, and then they escaped, and then how the rest of the group, Puru and the Gidons, all took off down the alley after the villains. And now we're all trying to stay together because there's strength in numbers and strength in unity. And trying to explain that it would be best if the whole group stays together. Because that way we know that we're all safe and none of us are going to be picked off or attacked individually.
Mm-hmm.
Blah blah blah, seventh claw ideals, something about unity makes the dream work, teamwork.
Oh, Envoy nodded along,
Nodded.
and this is where
Uh-huh.
Reeve is just like, another seventh claw moon priest, very good.
Perhaps,
Possibly.
And Doro's
PYUYU
like,
hasn't picked up on it. PYUYU doesn't know about Poori.
And Doro nods and agrees that it's probably a smart thing to do to stick together, especially with all the crazy happening. And asks what the plan is and where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we deliberate a little bit more about the who's and where's and where we want to be, where we want to do, what we want to do, who we want to be. And she explains a bunch of stuff that I don't remember what it was. Man, let me check my notes and see if any of that came up.
I mean, we could go to a home just as long as we're together, I think.
Oh, that she was going to go
Drive
home,
them
but
off.
she
Especially like
sees that may not be wise
Mm-hmm.
and is asking where to go now.
we could also go to the refugee camp. I think a lot of people there have much of a tolerance or taste for blood like that team does.
Right, and then if we are all together, then there's safety in numbers, and the refugee camp is full of people. And that's the best idea. Very good. Keep talking, but I don't remember what else she says besides that. I think that's good sum up.
Oh, the ones with the power armor?
Oh yeah, she mentions that there may be some people there that are big and strong and able
They were
to
fighting in
guard
the
the area.
competition too.
And then, oh yeah, you guys are against them next time in the race.
Yeah. So I'm really sorry that maybe home isn't the best right now, but there's a lot of fun in the camp as well.
Oh good, fun.
It's like you were really there.
That's
I think that's about the same delivery.
basically what she said.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
don't jump.
Yeah, it's all the way down there on the ground floor. Yes, good. And yeah, I guess we could do that, and we can hang out at the refugee camp. And that'll be safe until we know what's
Sorry,
going
folks.
on. And so, we hail another cab, and we ride yet another bug, another plate shell, down to the bottom
Yeah.
as we go to the refugee
Oh,
camp.
and Doro, meet Void, Scale, the one I was talking about.
And she's just like, oh, hi.
Yeah, hi.
Boy nods.
They're like, yo, bro. And so you guys get to the refugee
they're all thought
camp.
speakers. They're probably doing some stuff.
Doro isn't.
Oh, I thought she was.
No,
Whoops.
she ain't. But you guys get to the refugee camp, and then I
Thank you, Sassy.
give-
It's so cozy. I love the rugs.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
this
yeah.
is dream home material.
explained that Essie
Like,
made the
I just
mat.
need more beanbags in life. Is perfect.
There's lots and
Yes.
lots of rugs and beanbags over there, and over there there's some storage areas, and in the middle is kind of like a crafting / trade hub for the refugee camp. There's lots of people's like little workshops and things like that. And then down further, man, how much more did I explain there? I guess a lot. Down further is the eating hall, and then there's tables and chairs and things, and then there's a little kitchen in the back. And that was the general gist of the camp. As you guys start glancing around the place.
Oh, this place is so awesome. It's so filled with people. I'm so excited.
And PYUYU is also
Oh, you
joyous,
took
and
the
as
time
she's
to
going
describe
through
the middle has a
familiar
bunch of people
crafting halls,
marketing
she
their wares. The
greets
crafting hall,
with a smile,
the
That's
beanbag
right.
fawns over their
pillars, the
projects,
storeroom,
makes
and
them
then at
feel
the bottom
special.
is the
She will go.
dining hall.
She will head
Yeah.
over to this one.
Who is such a good one.
As he sees you approaching, he is straight-backed and good posture, and he's handsome and strong and beefy.
Oh, very good. And we will humbly go up and get his attention from 4 foot under.
And then as you walked up, he straightened up even more straight. He was full salute and ready to help. Then I think he introduces himself, where he sees everybody coming up, and then he's like full-on ultimate soldier boy. And he throws a lavo salute. I remember describing it as a diagonal fist across the chest.
And that serious and diligent is exactly what we are looking for. Pardon me?
And he will straighten up further, even more so, as you actually start talking to him.
She lightly claps her hands together, delighted. Let me see. I was hoping that you or the guards could help me keep an eye out. As I was getting groceries with my friend Akogi, Noble Akogi.
Noble Akogi.
We were attacked. Yes. We were attacked by Sheon's group, and he tried to cut her up and everything. And this is right after he attacked her father. And I was hoping that you guys could keep an eye out for them. I'm nervous they're going to keep on escalating their attacks.
And he nods. And he's like super diligent. He's like super, oh, I will do something about this. Absolutely, have no fear. I am the greatest. He's so cool.
Doro's not a refugee, right?
Doro is not.
No, I was unclear in that I was saying her father and PYUYU was pointing. Kata wasn't.
Right.
I think they're just trying to take our team out so we can't compete in the races and games.
But he gets all super uptight about it. This is unheard of. This is not good. We'll do something about it immediately. And then he asks for like
she will pass on a description.
That's right.
Of Sheon with the gray fur and his height, sort and such that he has. Thank you. I mean, I'll be keeping an eye out too, but it was a really close call, and Akogi will be fine. She's getting treated, but I don't want anyone else getting hurt.
He says he will do something about this post-haste, and he has a whole plan, and he starts to strut. As he walks very quickly away and goes down to begin a task.
PYUYU is pleased with herself. Revi makes a mental note to make another character to be Aruru's wife. See? Things will be fine here. Ooh.
Oh yes, good.
Yeah. Oh no, the guys in the power armor are great. And they're big too.
And then she's like, oh yeah, he seems diligent, seems ready to do things.
Let's see.
And then Tori's all like, oh yeah, it's good that this is a place where we can all be together and safe and stuff.
Oh, right. Let me see. Where would...
And oh yeah, you had mentioned...
Found Oro. Safety. Oh. Keba. Earlier, when I was talking with Pori, I mentioned that I wanted to get a weapon for scale. And Pori said that Keba would be a good choice.
Keba was a specialist.
Keba is one of the refugees.
And then looking for her.
And so, we will ask around and head over towards Keba unless something else happens over here.
You guys ask around and find her, and you guys are led to where they would be.
Oh, Doro, you haven't seen. We've made a whole entire building of coziness. It's really cool.
And then Pori says something.
Hop in, and it just squishes down forever.
Pori says something offhand about how she doesn't miss the snoring of lots and lots of people in a room, and how just Peru has been wonderful and much, much better.
PYUYU. It's incredulous. What do you mean it's greater? More the merrier.
And you guys find
PYUYU
these
likes the
cuties.
snoring and cuddles.
You guys find these cuties, and they are enjoying a tea. I don't know why I said it that way. They're enjoying tea. And then you guys are talking to them a little bit.
You described the teacups a little bit, and Haram has a little tiny teacup,
That's right, he
and they
does.
are talking intimately with each other,
And so
and that it's mostly
we
empty
will
in
be
here. A little adorable menace, and we will announce ourselves the Keva, and we go over and headbutt her and greet.
And then she will notice
Hello!
you and be, hello, and good to
How are you
see you
doing?"
again.
She headbutts back.
And she does. And then, something...
I don't exactly recall.
Well, neither. She waved her hands around a lot, apparently, to tell us about a great many things.
Oh, you two are cute. It's good to see you again.
Oh, that's right, because
And now they're blushing.
they had been racing, and then, yeah.
Good. Oh. Yes. I heard that you are really good at making some firestone daggers. I think I would like another.
And she's like, oh boy, yes, excellent. That's the thing that I do. And then
Duty
basically-
calls,
yeah,
boyfriend.
duty calls, boyfriend. You sit here and enjoy tea. I'm gonna go make a sword. And then she like stands up immediately and is like over enthused because this is her whole thing. And he's like, oh yeah, okay. You have fun, I guess. And she's all like, hup, 2, 3, 4, hup, 2, 3,
Thank you.
to the forge.
She will wave as she borrows this girl.
And I remember describing how she's got a little forge kind of crafting station that she has over here set up, and she's got several containers that are like sealed in such a way as to keep firestone from burning away. And she asks what kind of a blade you're looking for as she starts to get suited up with her apron and big thick gloves and
Wanted to... Well, nothing too crazy, I think, unless you... I mean, you know, my work, I was mostly trying to make sure that, that Voy... Because he doesn't have a lot from Lavo, and get him set up with a knife as well. They're just really useful to have around.
yeah, and then she's like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then so she
So
starts
good
taking
utility, durable.
she starts taking some visual measurements and looking through her cases. Starts taking visual measurements of him and how big his arm would be and stuff like that.
Oh.
Measuring out a couple handles.
Something like this.
And then you'll show her your sword, which she will hold a hand out to compare.
Of course.
And she takes it and she holds it and gives it a couple of quick swings, and she holds it up to one of her firestone lights to compare the
Oh,
color.
it's awesome. I actually managed to kill a Hasa with it.
She's very impressed, and she congratulates you on the good use of a hunting knife, which is basically what this is. She compares the color of it compared to other firestone to compare how soon it is to shatter and etc. and how brittle it might continue to be. And she explains that this is a fine sword and it could definitely use some improvement if that is something you needed, but that's not what you're here for. You're here for something at least on this level. And so she pokes through her stuff and hands you back your blade.
Thank you. But now I am curious, but yes. As both of them are just like excitable.
Oh yeah, she's super. She's all jazzed.
yeah, and
This
she
is
loves
the thing
it.
she does. And
The crafters are having a good time.
yeah, so she's poking through her cases, and she eventually snaps open one and pulls out a blade about the size of Voy's forearm. And she kind of gives him a visual measure, and then finds a blade, and then finds an appropriate hilt, and some other bits and bobs that she throws together. And she is an expert craftsman. As she eventually finishes and slips it into its sheath, which vents steam from an end before clapping a shutter shut, sealing the blade for long-term use. And then she eventually finishes and turns around and hands it to you. I may have described this more in depth at the time.
Oh, yes, it was an intricate process that was delightful to watch. Hmm.
It's a napped blade, I remember that. It's a traditional napped...
What is a napped blade?
It's the kind of blade that you make out of obsidian, where you take rocks and you snap them together until you shear off small
She is
pieces.
happily sitting while she watches as a fellow craftsman will give encouragement and praise along the way.
Ah, yes. And then she finishes and she hands you the blade, sheath and all. And
Thank
then...
you so much, and yeah, I have a few other crafts, but I did want to ask, how did Haram like the plushie?
Oh yeah, you asked about the plushie.
I mean, he eventually woke up. It wasn't my finest work. It's something new I've been working on.
And she explains that he actually liked it very much, and he uses it still.
Oh, yes.
But because his head is very heavy, it is slowly losing its shape and doesn't really look like what it was originally supposed to look like at all anymore. But he likes it, and it's comfortable.
Yeah.
And then she mentions that that's the thing that you're good at, is the crafting.
Oh, well, I'll certainly be making more, and let me know if there's something I can help you with.
And she mentions that while she's got the hands for crafting blades and weapons...
Yes, and I help with belt loops and...
you're the one who makes cloths.
If I had more cloth and all that, I make clothes, you see, and she'll show her, like, unpacked clothes. I recently got some Terran fabrics I haven't figured out what I want to do with yet.
And then she explains how in the future, whenever she's needing something, she'll probably come to you for tiny clothes. Very small clothes because, they're also expecting. And she'll probably need baby clothes. Then she keeps explaining something.
Yes. Ooh. How soon?
Oh yeah, I guess it took her a while to get to it. And then it would be like a few months.
So you're like Pori then?
And so she'll look over, she'll be like, how do you mean? And it takes her a little while to realize that you mean, oh yeah, also pregnant, also full of babes.
Both of you are going to have mixed kids.
Yep. Because they'd be half-breeds, and there would be more half-breeds around. And then there was something about the concern.
She gets pretty worried, though, and Peru is certainly not helping.
Yeah, because Paori is actually much smaller than Kiba is, because although Kiba is a Ha, she does have some road genetics in her, some half-breed, because she is like a head taller than PYUYU is. So she's a little less concerned, but the idea that Paori, who is very small,
maybe
might be concerning. Understandable.
Oh, I mean, there's the size, but Peru is also hasn't been very kind to her. Do you mind if we maybe join you for tea and help settle her nerves now?
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely, everything is fine. She takes her apron off and her gloves, and she leaves it all in her little crafting station, and then leads everybody to the carpet for tea time. And they're all like, "Oh, good, tea time."
Good.
And then they all sit themselves in a circle on the mat, and then Hiram starts making tea for everybody. And Voice sits over here beside PYUYU, and you guys have a tea party on this rug.
Whew. Hmm. Thank you for everything.
Serves some tea to everybody, and it's pretty good tea. And Kiba's talking about
Thank you for helping with the permissions, Doro.
Oh yeah.
For the guidance and ideas and sharp eyes, Tori. And for your craftsmanship, Keba. Oh, and this is for you. So we hand over the nicely crafted sword.
You hand Voy a sword, and he receives it, and he's
And it's the right size.
right size. He's just a tad nervous about it because he has not carried a weapon in a while, if at all.
He doesn't feel that he has training in this. Yeah, we should probably still try to avoid trouble, but maybe this will help you feel more handleable, or make it feel more handleable.
It's like, yeah, it's probably a smart thing. There's probably something to having a blade at your side, you know.
It might be a deterrent.
Yeah. Even as a deterrent, perhaps. So he cinches it to his waist.
Oh, trust me, I don't greatly know how to use it either, but it certainly feels a lot better to have something had to when you're squaring off. Oh man, I didn't tell you. I was squaring off with a Rev one time, and all I had was this short sword, a few shots on my blaster, and two common balls.
And then,
oh wow, everyone's so impressed as PYUYU tells her story.
All very impressed.
A lot of that was
Kiba's
back in
super
Peru,
impressed.
but...
And then she'll say, "Wow, what a good thing it was that you had a sword at your side, because that's super important. Everybody should have a sword." And she goes off on her whole thing. You know, there's actually organizations and groups back in Lavo at least who were advocates for the idea that people didn't really need swords, and that it's that not everybody needs to carry them. Keba is an open carry nut. She thinks everybody should have a sword, and in fact, to not have one is stupid, and to leave yourself completely open and unprotected. And she goes on and on and on about it.
There's some philosophical principles on what is it? Having... Oh goodness, I'm sorry, I'm reciting someone else's philosophy, but the notion that having weapons puts it into people's minds for violence and can trigger or entice more violent behavior. And so there's a thought that if people are unarmed and their hands and eyes are on peaceful things, on their crafts, on their animals, on building friendships, that it would make a peaceful society.
And she agrees that would be the ideal if everybody was focused only on peaceful crafts and making cool things and furthering society, and that everybody was peaceful. That would be the ideal thing, but because the common are clawed, pointy-toothed, obligate carnivores who have to eat meat to live, and how violence is inherent in their being.
We see in part of our nature that in the contrast between the Ha and Ro, where the Ro have to stand alone much more, but the Ha, since we're in our close societies together, we have our claws sheathed. And that could be seen as at least hiding weapons, or at least not making them visible, perceptible, and help us live together in such numbers in close quarters.
And she agrees to a degree that is the best way to have weapons sheathed. They don't have to be out all the time.
She thinks that it's a romantic notion.
That's right. a romantic
consideration of the biology. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then I can't remember if she brings up the Kyrls or if you do. But she does mention at some point how the Kyrl swords, the King Blades, for example.
PYUYU is not happy as she's like, I want to see it up close.
Yeah, they're not meant to be. Yeah, she starts talking
she
about the
wants
swords.
to see the King Blades
because she wants
so
to study
excited.
one. She wants to study one and
she
figure out how
believes
they
that
work.
she can discover the secret.
Yep, because she's a very technical smith, and she thinks that although they are symbols of power, they aren't really supposed to be fought with, right? But there's certainly a degree of authority that comes from the image of a sword and what it represents, and how she thinks they're super neat. And then Hiram is talking about how
I love your tangents. I'm sorry, it's just a little
she gets very excited.
Too close to home right now, as maybe Kev will see like she's a little downcast with that.
And then Hiram apologizes a little bit for Kiba being a little over the top and overexcited.
It's definitely a craft.
She's like, it's not a hobby.
Hiram's like, it's a hobby.
That's right,
like,
a hobby.
No.
She's like, nah.
Both the girls team up against him. This is a craft.
It's a craft.
No, sorry.
It is a noble calling, is what she calls it. That's right.
I don't think I want to see another Kyrl.
And then she's like, another Kyrl? You mean you've seen one? That sounds like you've seen one recently, like in person. Like this is an actual personal experience. She starts to prod.
It's a little bit different when it's being used to carve up your friends.
Gasp. So what you're saying is that you've seen one in person.
Yeah, she missed the cue.
I
don't know if Hiram noticed.
Did your friend fight the king or something?
Koki isn't going to be joining us tonight. She's getting medical attention now.
It's like, it doesn't sound like noble Akoki to get involved with something stupid like fighting the king, because he's the only one who would have these swords. She wouldn't do something like that, would she?
No.
And where did it go from there?
I thought so too, but
only
the king has all those swords.
That's right.
But Shan of Eagle Clan had one and tried to tear Kogi apart with it.
So there's another one, a fourth sword. There's a fourth sword in Rubrandi right now. And the king doesn't have it. And Hiram's like, oh yeah, and she's like, you could go and get that. You could go get this villain. And Paori mentions how she's starting to look nervous about it, but she doesn't say anything. And then she starts prodding for more information about this sword and where it might be and who has it.
If I find it, you might not see me again. He killed Ptah and tried to kill Akogi. He's trying to kill our team.
And then Doro will look a little nervous about it. And then Kiba will look a little nervous about it and thoughtful. And she'll think as she looks over at Hiram, who's big and armored and a common row. And I think she starts talking to him. I don't have any more pointer during this time.
So cute. Telling him to go and you can go and take him down. Hiram's like, no, I'm not gonna go on a manhunt.
Right. You could go get him.
I'm working.
He's like, I'm working. I'm not in charge of myself. I'd have to talk to the commander, and I can't. Our group doesn't stop Common from doing common things. She's like, yeah, but you help people. Every time somebody asks what your group does exactly, you say, we help people. And then he's like, yeah, we do. We help common people be free to do common things, because also, We're currently on a mission. We have a mission already. And I've got to follow my captain's orders because I don't actually make decisions for myself, hardly ever.
And then Kiva's like, but you've been here for a couple of months. Yeah, we're working so hard on the mission.
Mm-hmm. She's like, yeah, your mission.
Okay, but I don't want to hunt it down. That's not right. I just want him kept away. I already told the one in the blue armor about it to help us keep an eye out.
And then she's like, yeah, but there's a villain running around with a king blade. It doesn't belong with him. It belongs in a museum. That's not what she says. She says it belongs...
It belongs with a noble hand
right.
who will guide and protect the people
Someone
and
who will
inspire
guide and
them. I also believe it's wrong to use a king blade to kill Moon Priestess and clan leaders.
And she's like, yeah, exactly. It's not
Aren't
right.
they meant to keep us safe from the Meganos?
Well, no, because the Meganos actually came after the King Blades were created. The King Blades were created to as badges of office for leaders of the 6 original cities of the United Middle Kingdom, which Poori has done, not Poori, Keba has done a whole bunch of research on because these swords are her main fascination. And she explains how the 6 original cities and how Bajeo was once the king of this city, and how Noble Dohi has a sword who was passed down from his father, who used to be the king of Lavo, which used to be one of the big cities, and how we're currently standing in one of the old 6 main cities of the United Kingdom Middle Domain, and how the Mipuru sword was the one for here, and how she called
and
Bajeo
is an old
relic. She called him an old relic, and how now, the king here has his sword, and also the Aetius Carl, and also one that she can't remember the name of. She hasn't done enough research. But she's just a fount of knowledge on the United Middle Domain and the swords and the cities that they're supposed to represent and the people who had them. And if somebody's running around with this piece of history, he's got to be stopped. Because they're not meant to be weapons. They're not meant for fighting. They are art pieces. They're one of a kind crafts that should be studied, and she wants so badly to get her hands on one. She almost got her hands on Dohi's once, but he was really possessive of it. She also got a hold of one that she thought was going to be one, and then when she unsheathed it, it was dumb. We have to go get this guy.
Yeah, we have to go stop him, but he has a whole team, Keba.
And she's like, well, I've got a whole team behind me, and she's like super smug about it.
Look of condolences.
And Hiram's like, no, we'd have to talk to the commander, and I'm actually not in charge of this, and you don't actually have us to back you for every little thing, right? We have a mission. She's like, yeah, mission. You've been here for months. Your mission currently is to race, to do this contest, and
I was the one that brought up that they're racing.
That's right.
And then she's like, you're playing games?
You're playing games? That's your mission? And he's like, yeah, because, it's what the commander wanted to do. And it's like, okay, yeah, that sounds really serious.
But of course it's big. The winner gets a wish.
And he's like, yeah, and, the commander has a reason for it. He's hoping to get whatever that wish is. And she's like, yeah, but then, maybe you can use yours, and etc. And he's like, I don't know if I actually have mine to use, and if I use it for me, then maybe the commander has other plans for it, and I'm waiting to hear about that. And she's like, it's simple, you can make your own decisions. And he's like, I don't make my own decisions. I'm a soldier. I follow orders, and blah, 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 blah.
It's important for the strong to also be wise and not pick every fight. And the moon priest nod along with me.
Yep, they nod.
Paori approves.
Paori approves.
Voy approves.
Yep. She says something.
Did he fall out of a tree?
Oh yeah, she says about how
Oh.
Puru, she wishes Puru would be a little more wise about the fights that he picks. And she's like, yeah, he did. And then we took him to the medical tent and we got him checked out. And physically, he seems fine. And he talks and talks about this whole Moonblessed thing and how he talked to the moons. And I believe him. It's very weird. It's very strange. I don't understand the purpose of it. I don't think he does either. But
I'm glad you two went
believe that he
to
did,
get
you know.
checked out. Oh yes. Glad you two went to the medical tent to get checked out, and Paori scrunches her nose
She scrunches. There,
and goes on her anti-Terran rant.
You know, there's a Terran in there. You know, they had one of the doctors as a Terran.
Dr. Laura. Goodness, what was her name?
It was Dr. Laura.
Dr. Courtney and it wasn't Nicole.
Yes,
know
well,
this
whatever her name is doesn't really matter.
Yeah, she's been there for a bit.
And she's like, well, she probably shouldn't be because, you know, working on Common and everything.
She always brings out strange things.
Yes, very strange. And we don't need them because the Common have their own way of doing medicine. And the Terran stuff is weird and...
Well, don't they have the beepers and such that help with diagnosing things? There's a lot of people that get hurt sometimes, so I think it probably helps it go faster.
She says, faster? That's dumb. Terrans are dumb. Commons rule. Common are cool. And, I don't care what they have. We have our own ways of healing people.
Well,
they should probably
they have
just
to have
cut out.
something. They're really delicate.
And, oh,
so
yeah.
they probably have to be smart, or they just get crushed underfoot, right?
And then we all start talking about how weak and wimpy and squishy Terrans are, and how they get crushed pretty easy, and if they didn't have good medicine and good prosthetics and stuff, they'd probably die off pretty quick because they're made of paper.
Well, at the very least, it's good that Courtney gets some help. And they kept scale stable since the incursion. And he's doing better now, but it was rougher earlier on.
Uh-oh.
So, but yeah, they are pretty weird, and I'm always nervous. I mean, I'm pretty small, but if I was a big row, I'd have to watch my tail, or I'd probably break her in half, right?
And Oro mentions how, yeah, that would totally probably happen, you know. They're very light, and we're very heavy, and a good tail swish. And then, Hiram mentions how, yeah, they're squishy, but they always make up for it with something. They've got, like, a lot of different sorts of prosthesis and prosthetics,
So,
like power armor, etc.
I don't blame them for having to have their devices and smarts, because they're not going to be winning any fights.
Yeah, they have a couple of cool things they've come up with, and in fact, the power armor that
Really?
that we wear is based on their design, because it's designed for fighting Meganis. The Meganis have already figured
like your
out.
armor?
Yeah, the Meganis have already figured out how to do power armor, and so we just do it and then show them that it's more than tools; it's skill. And he explains how the Common are better in power armor
But you guys
because
make
they're
it look
stronger.
so cool.
And it's, yeah, being cool. Says cool things in a shy way. Yes.
Is it time for the Meganis talk? Like, did you mention why they're okay using power armor?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, we're the Meganis. Like, the best way to fight the Meganis is to take technology they've already figured out and use it better.
Yep, I just
And it
said
just goes
that,
on for a
like,
little bit.
2 minutes ago.
No, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
Essie
trying to recall.
asked.
I know.
Wasn't paying attention. And then she's all like, oh, well, and slaps his knee and talks about how she'll probably get him to find him. If you guys need somebody to go hunt him down, then she'll volunteer her big boyfriend. Because if you need support, he'll just crunch in there in power armor and take the fancy sword so that she can see it. And that way, there will be one less scary guy running around.
No, I'm not going anywhere by myself.
She's like, you're gonna
No!
stay safe.
No.
She says something, but I can't remember what it was.
That is certainly a strategy, I suppose, but something in my
Probably
thoughts tells
something
me that's
about
not
jumping and beating him up.
quite right, or
Yeah, that's right. Just jump him. In his house. We can get him. If you need him, you can borrow my boyfriend or something. I don't remember what she says here.
No, I don't remember either.
it's an important part of introspection.
It was very
Understanding.
introspective.
Not just what you're doing, but why you are doing, and thinking if what you're doing will lead to good things.
I suppose.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
because
she
Keba
says,
was offering suggestions. You should try
Like,
it's a
you
lot
should
of
do like this
thinking.
or this.
that's right, and it
And
would
he was
incite
explaining why she's saying no.
the circle of violence or something. Yeah. And she's like, "Nah, that's fair. That's a good point because what?
Well, she said it was very mature.
That's right.
Yes,
Very
we
mature.
preen. A very mature perspective.
Yeah,
Think about the consequences.
because we don't want them coming back after us or somebody else, or what if one of their kids gets mad and carries on a grudge for the rest of their life and then comes back at us for revenge.
You hear that, Beck? What if? Or Peru, more so.
Bro, I didn't do anything
Yeah,
this
that's
time.
right. Beck didn't do anything.
Yeah, Beck didn't do anything. This is Peru's burden to bear.
Sex
Man.
slander. I was
That she
minding my
has
own
gotten
business.
through to Keba.
Leave me alone.
Yeah, and this was PYUYU convincing Keba to maybe plan A is not jump the guy
Yeah.
with the chiral.
Not doing anything rash, but
And
we'll...
Keba's like,
not too
okay,
close.
maybe.
Oh, she's like,
and
of course
she
I
really
wanna...
wants to see the sword.
I want to be
want to see it
so
up.
close. Close enough
It's
to,
like,
to really analyze it, to tinker around with it and figure out how it's made. Because once it is made, then she should... Oh yeah, she asked Bajeo about Bajeo.
Well,
Because you had mentioned, I think, at the... Had you mentioned at the funeral yet?
I mean, the wish is his to use as he wants,
No,
but
I
if
think that's a little
Peru
later.
Oh, yeah.
wins, I guess he probably could ask the king to show you the blades.
That's right. That's right. He could
Shrugs.
use his wish to have... let her inspect one of his swords. Become the court armorer. And he's like, yeah, but I don't know if that wish is actually mine. It's kind of the commander. And if we individually get him, then I'll think about it, but otherwise it's up to the boss. And what he wants to do. And she's like, well, I'll talk to him myself if I must, or something like that.
She lectures him on like being a row and standing up for himself and
That's
making
right.
some of his own choices.
That's right.
Reeve's mind is filled with like, what in the world are these?
We have all
These
these...
three thinking throughout this.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, Pew's impressed.
I want to know what everyone is thinking.
It's just
Like, it's rough because
you
you
don't-
have to voice all of them, but I'm like, I want to be looking around the circle, like, what's on their faces? I want to know, Nate.
Ori's just quiet the whole time and holding something back because she hears these guys talking about Sheon and swords and finding it and
Well, and she
etc.
wouldn't want Peru to be like him anyway, because Hiram would not be. He would not be a king.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
He
right.
is a great man, but there's not quite a ruthless nature an ambitious nature that he's just a little chillin' guy.
Yeah.
Well, a big chillin' guy.
And Poori likes
Not a
Peru the way he is.
not a moon mad king.
Yeah.
And that's just fine. They're adorable.
And eventually this guy walks up and walks in, and PYUYU gets immediately a little spooked because he
I'll
has
start pulling out some of my crafting stuff. Triggered by red.
he
Look
has a red coat,
my
and he's got that
interesting
dark gray
materials.
hair and the red eyes, and he looks like Shayon, but he's like half the size. And so the guard goes down a little bit. And he's
Well,
got
and
that vibe.
Pew's just like, is he going to lock onto me? But he locks on interacting with you. Like if he came up and was like, "Hello, Pew," that's it. We lose our minds. They've come for me.
But he hasn't. He comes up.
But I was
and
ignored.
He
Life is fine.
addresses Hiram and mentions how they're gonna go out and train again, and how he needs to suit up because the commander's kind of annoyed that we're having to wait for 2 whole extra days for these guys, and so we might as well practice and practice and practice. And so he excuses himself and sets down his tiny teacup, and then bonks heads and kisses,
Aww.
and then leaves with Guy. Which is great, because Guy's name means small.
He's not as good as Mama Gee though.
He's not as good as Mama Guy. And then their group all joins up as they prepare to go and train at the racetrack. Practice with their mounts and use all their skills and training and
We
formations.
And go and watch, or we can focus on resting up well for tomorrow.
Yeah, and then Poori says, heck no, I don't want to watch them race anymore. They're super boring. They have all these formations, and they're all, like, super
Keba
structured.
says.
Keba says these things, yes. They're super boring and structured, and you only really... You can't go as fast as they can, so you're just, like, sitting there at the finish line, and then they go past a few times. They talk a lot. They swap strategies, and they talk in a whole bunch of jargon that probably doesn't
They're
actually
the ones
matter.
Racing tomorrow, then yeah. The one with Beck's friend. Yeah. Yes.
So they're the ones that are racing against you
Sorry.
tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Your opponents.
We're sorry about that. It was a sudden funeral.
And they're
Oh, the delay. Yeah,
That's right.
sorry.
They're cranky at the
we had a
delay.
sudden death.
We had a, oh yeah, I heard about that, and you guys went to the funeral, and Doro's kind of chill about it. She'll mention that Akogi was actually really great at doing the whole priest thing, and blessing the house, and doing all of the things that needed to be done. And everybody was there, and it was a big thing, and
And we got all sorts of critters to help nourish the tree and everything. It was a big old event.
yes, those are usually pretty,
And
pretty big.
and you know the the old relic you were talking about?
Yes, Bajeo.
Oh. Is it any better now?
Yeah, you
told
had
me my
you
mic
remember
kind of
the
had a
cold
moment
relic
you were
cut
talking
out.
about you with the hand over the mouth, but she's not like lowering her voice. He was fighting with a rev.
And she's all like, oh man,
Mm-hmm.
what was he using to fight?
Yes. Sorry,
was
just
fighting?
the way
That's
that you
crazy.
called him that. Oh man.
I didn't mean any
Yes. Relic
disrespect,
the
he's
J.O.
just old. What's he fighting with these days? And mentions because the king has his sword, and she doubts that he would have lent it to him.
No, it was out of character. It wasn't a mace or an axe. It was he got off of his walker. It was a Mako Huitl.
Yeah, it's like a iron rod with bits of firestone
I don't
all
think
up and down
you
the
know what a
sides.
Mako Huitl is, so we will describe the weapon with the large iron bar and the firestone circles along the sides.
She's like, oh no, that's not a weapon fit for an ex-king, for a former king. That man needs a sword. He needs a cool sword. That's one of the main reasons that I should learn how to make
It did
kairos.
a lot of damage.
Yeah, but it's like hobo weapon. This is one of the reasons I want to learn to make swords, so that I can make swords for people who should have them. But Jo should have a sword. The man's a king. And she's all very frustrated that he's using such a weapon. He was probably majestic using it. He was probably very cool, but it's just a weapon unfit for him.
Mm-hmm.
And something blah blah. I don't remember what she said.
He uses them to keep Rubrandi safe, and that's saying
yeah, that's
a lot.
right. The king.
He is the strongest.
The king doesn't even barely use the swords to actually fight. They're like secondary. He's on his own is fast and strong, and you don't even see him move. He just goes. The swords are extra. She's watched him fight twice now. And it's weird that he has that many. It's weird that they're all in one place, and they're meant to be badges of office.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's faster and stronger than anyone.
Yeah, he's scary. There's something different about him. And then Voy's like, it's the red lightning. And then he explains that...
Yeah, Voy gets a weird vibe from him too. I guess I haven't noticed, but if all three of you think so, then I guess it must be.
It's like, yeah, no, it's the red lightning. There's something about it. And every time he's seen, like while he was the leaf, while he was a loose scale, he had witnessed red lightning and then death. Like suddenly Raz is there, and then there's red lightning, and then it's over.
We will put a hand on his knee. Is that something you want to think about?
He mentions how he doesn't really mind thinking about it.
He's not on...
point.
You're not on that side anymore.
Yeah, and he mentions how he remembers. I think if I remember right, he said that he remembers what it's like to be on that side, and how for a very brief period he was fully immersed.
He is locked into the Magana's hive mind. I don't blame you if you don't want to think about it at all, but if you do and you think of anything useful that could be something that we offer back, it might help turn around the war and things. I didn't see nearly as much. I don't think anything I saw would be useful.
Well, you know, the stuff that I have seen, if you think any of it would be useful, there's not much, but what he does have is the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And how...
Perspective. And
yeah, perspective.
Oh, and you described how the Maganas receive orders, but they're not really thinking.
That's right.
And they're told what they need to know.
While he was in the haze, he just kind of... He wasn't his.
Oh, and
he was a perceiver.
He became a loose scale when he was ripped out by the purple light.
Mm-hmm.
And he became loose scale and felt like a leaf adrift in a bowl of water.
Mm-hmm. Just floating. Until you pulled him out of the bowl of water and shook him dry and made him again. But He remembers there being the purple light, like you mentioned. And then being in the haze for a while. And,
Purple.
It was purple. And then nobody could think of exactly what the purple light could have been. None of you had the Arcana knowledge to deduce what it could be. None of the people in this group had experience with it. He talks about more, but I can't remember what it is. It was very wordy. And,
It was a very metaphorical experience for him to
That's okay. I didn't
describe.
That's right.
I wasn't sure. Anyways. And I don't know what purple means anyways.
Yep, and then he couldn't figure it out either.
Are there purple devices? There's.
He thought it might be a
Blue,
device, yeah.
I-
Then,
Would someone combine them? We're gonna ask Keba.
yeah, and then Keba explains a little bit about Firestone and how it's used. And, how, she'll kind of explain that, the King Swords...
I'm sorry, I don't have the answers for you, Scale.
That's right, your 17 wasn't
That's
high
okay.
enough to know on your own. And she explains that the King Swords come in a variety of different colors because of something to do with the stability of their resonance or whatever. And she starts talking about pack devices and how they work, and how you can get different colors based on different things, and how a standard blue pack is what you want usually because it's stable, but also able to transfer devices back and forth, or transfer materials back and forth. But if they're red, it's because they're unstable, which means that they are attempting to vent the material before it explodes, right? But it's also when it's the fullest, the most full of containment. Now, there's a possible thing where you can get a pack to be in a stable indigo state for a short time between transferences, but only if you're transferring rapid fire things in and out of it consistently. And so it kind of takes on an indigo color for a little while, but you don't really want to do that unless you know what you're doing, right? Because it's potentially dangerous because you ride the line of going into the
guess-
red.
I've seen it before. I guess you might have been packed, and unpacked. And that would probably lead you to be disoriented. But she's thinking
I
about the
just
king
phases
that
right past her.
Vexame.
Yeah, you were, but that went like right over her head.
Uh-oh.
And then
Oh,
your
good.
history check, you remember as you were escaping Lavo, you remember at one point looking over your shoulder and there was a flash of purple. Just for a little while. And then you ducked and covered and got out through one of the root tunnels with the group.
And I shared that image with him,
Mm-hmm.
but we couldn't figure it out. She recalls. Yep. Okay. I think I remember a little something happening in Lavo, but I didn't look. And she'll share what little bits that she did see. So I don't know. Yeah, but maybe it's It's important that you don't let yourself get caught up in irrelevant mysteries, as there's a mystery in everything. But it's best to focus your efforts on what's meaningful, actionable. And if we see the purple again, we can think about it and work on it, but if we don't, probably not a problem.
Right. So that would be something to put out of our mind until it comes up. Kind of thing. So, what is actionable?
Good. We'll have to thank it then.
Oh yeah, he was grateful for the purple light, whatever it was, because it freed him to eventually wind up here with you, and he likes being with you. Yay.
Yeah. Sorry about that. We're just working through a lot right now.
And they're all just calmly drinking tea. She's like, it's fine, you do what you need to do. Sword, sword, sword. Blades, blades, blades.
Thank you, really, Kib.
Feel free to rest here as long as you need, or something. I can't remember what she says.
Oof.
Something along those lines.
I think Keba says that she's going to go work on something. Nods. Oh, and voices something cute. Oh, and if you get hungry, Doro, the food voice
hall
like I like spending
is
time
that
with
way.
you, or I like being
And
close
there's
to you.
usually
That's right.
Always
and some PYUYU
something.
blushed.
And then you send Doro, and
Sorry,
she's like, oh yeah.
I remembered you may not be as familiar.
She's like, well, I
this
was in a
space.
meeting. I was in a meeting for quite a bit, and I didn't get a meal, so yeah, I think I will.
And then I
go get
drug her
some."
all the way down
And again,
here.
thank you.
Oh, yeah.
So she gets up and dusts her knees off, and then she walks on down there.
How is she handling? Because we did kind of just drag her off. Oh no.
With an insight, you
I
have
just-
no idea. She's handling everything just fine. Everything is good and dandy in Doro land.
We will
She-
look at Pori.
She goes down there and sits at a table with these two, and
Would you want to talk with Keba or keep an eye on Doro?
she's like, I'm probably just gonna hang out in here, and maybe Peru will show up eventually, because we kind of agreed that we'd meet here.
Are you settling in for a nap? I guess I've been walking you around all day.
Yes, probably. She's gonna just hang out here and take a nap and wait for Peru. There's lots of people around, so she'll probably be safe. So you don't have to worry about her.
You probably need to bap him a little bit.
Oh, there will be bapping.
Bap him.
Trust me, there will be so much bapping. I will bap
Good.
him.
Sometimes wisdom has to be taught firmly. Nods. I'm helping Peru. Don't worry.
Yes, nod, nod. Very good. I'm sure he'll be fine. He better be fine, or else
Yes.
I will make him not fine, or something. As Aruru comes out and is very aggressively slapping wanted posters all over these walls, which he has had somebody
Yes.
draw and then replicate with a pack.
I love this boy.
They go around and he slaps all these posters on all the walls.
I need-
and he's
I
excited
need to
about
play another character so that I can flirt with this man. Because he is not PYUYU's type, but he is great.
As he is diligent, incredibly so, and then he slaps posters everywhere, and then he goes to stand in the middle
I'm a
of the
little
craftsman
hungry.
area, weapon out, at the ready, keeping his eyes sharp and squinting at strangers.
Yeah. I'm hungry.
And then you guys...
You two take care. Oh. And sorry. Earlier I would have introduced Kebo. done shared introductions.
Yep, they are acquainted
Realize
now.
I didn't introduce
So that they can-
everyone to each
they
other,
can
and it's
chill.
like, what is up
Hey,
with the
everyone, meet
posters?
Dora.
As you look at the posters, they are a crude drawing of your description of a vile, angry man with pointy teeth and red eyes, and he kind of looks like the men
Good,
with pointy
yes.
teeth drawing on the floor in Tangled. It's perfect.
Good.
Perfect.
With his name and all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Shayon,
And-
beware
and it-
this man, a villain.
Mhm. Good.
They're everywhere now.
We will give encouraging friendly wave to the diligent knight in shining armor as we go to get food.
He's like squinting at every stranger that passes by. As
I
you-
think he responded with like a proud. I don't think it was a salute, but it was something like that.
As you see Doro over there at the table, and she's eating something with these Kamehameha. And this one is sweating.
Sweating.
Who is sweating and nervously, stealthily attempts to change seats. Because she is big and terrifying to him, and he's afraid of causing her to have the same reaction other big ladies have around him.
Good. And I think this is a good time to wibble the timelines together and enjoy our meal over here. Yeah. This is big brain, you see.
Yep, you tie it together very nicely, and the timeline just kind of sinks right in
It's like,
as you're there at the table with the boy and snacking and
have our talk
crafting.
and be adorable and bead on up. With the hair as PYUYU embraces the thought speaking,
And you put your
that
thought
helped
speaker,
scale and
thought
helped
speaker
fight off
beads.
the Legatus in their own
And you
way.
were all like, "Oh my god, you're putting on the beads."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's
Had
embracing it.
halfway help put the beads in the hair. And would I perchance be able to do a roll? Because I have some interesting materials now.
And I'm like, yeah, what kind of materials do you have, and what do you want to make?
I have the shiny Terran fabric. And, there's one thing to be said about the plain, straight ribbons that I'm making. What if I made these into some thin strips and made some ornate bows? Sort of like, I don't know if Oklahoma has the culture of it, but mums.
Mums.
They're
And
mums.
then you show me a
They're
picture.
very decorative. Let me see if I can.
And I'm like, yeah, probably.
It's apparently a very niche. It's a very niche thing. Okay, these are excessive, but they're a very decorative piece. I'm trying to look for more modest ones, but they're not the ones that get onto Pinterest. Yeah. Mums are just basically excessive ribbon accessories.
Yeah. And then
And I have the shiny Terran fabric, so we can make fancy hair
like, yeah, you
ribbons or
totally
something.
can. And I'm like, what did I have your roll for that? I think it was like sleight of hand or something.
Sleight of hand,
And you're like,
yes.
sleight of hand, yes.
And if I could reach through the tree, help me have full proficiency in it.
And you reach out and you connect to the latent minds of all
Helps
the
that
other people
load.
in the area.
Oh my god.
And apparently
This
nobody
fabric-
knows how to work on this particular
no
fabric.
inspiration. Oh no.
But you
Too
don't ruin it.
ambitious.
You don't ruin it because you didn't get far enough.
I have no inspiration. It's tragic.
And then we
If
look
you
don't
were
have one.
offering,
I
I would
don't
be
have one.
grateful.
we look for
Yeah.
inspiration from
I
the
think we
crowd.
probably
use
used
mine.
it in saving a Kogi, and I didn't do a recap really.
Yeah, and I explain how I
It's okay. And it's okay. I
keep
like this sort of journey.
yeah, because I keep recap inspiration out of solo sessions because it feels
I think this still
a
tells
little
a
over
good
the top.
story about
Powerful.
a little
her
powerful.
determination and trying new ideas and trying new materials. If I can have the mercy of having some of the materials not lost.
Yeah, the
this
materials survive, and because you didn't get very far in the project, and they're not like they're actually more forgiving. Although they are lighter, they are more forgiving than common fabrics generally tend to be. And then you start talking about researching them, studying them at some point. And I wonder when that is. I think I explained stuff a little much here, and I can't remember everything that I said.
And so,
Yeah, we're sort of hitting to that. hour
you
mark,
were
and I think
describing
we
how
will
the Terran
spend our
fabric
time
tears
studying
differently.
Yeah.
Spend our time humbled and studying the fabric and the fluff that I have, since I probably didn't get. Yeah, was not a bold adventure to regularly have Rev Domiko fluff to work with.
If you're not familiar with
And this thicker, more
have you do,
blanket-suited
have you do an
fluff,
investigation
and get
check
some ideas on how to handle that.
to study the material.
Mm.
And then you do, and I think you roll pretty good, which it was like a 22, yeah. And so it
I
gave
just
you,
rushed in too quickly.
and I was like, yeah, but you
It's
stop
a
and
very
you study.
real
And then
craftsman
I
sort of
made
situation.
a joke about emptying the box of IKEA parts, and then trying to build them without looking at the instructions, like a boy, like me, and then finding the instructions and trying again. Well, you can't really try again right now, but you do know how to do it better when you try next time, and that you'd have advantage the next time you tried to work with these particular materials. And yeah.
And you described a little bit on the texture of the Rev fluff and the breakaway properties of the silk. Okay, you don't have to call me out like this. Though.
Yeah.
yeah. Calling me out on the breaking out the IKEA
On the
parts and
IKEA.
failing and reading the instructions after you start.
Because we both do it properly. Good. And then I think right about there, yeah, we had basically 1 minute of kind of tapering off and explaining that, yeah, you'd have.
And I think I'm happy with that as it is.
And then we.
Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Ta-da-da! Very good.
And that this dovetails the two, because episode 20 sort of ended with PYUYU and Void talking in this corner, and it's like, let's get the timelines to kind of merge, and it's still going to be a little time wobbly. It's still a little bit weird.
Well,
but it's fine.
Because this session wound up being about 2 hours, this group, this campaign party has quite a few little artists in it, and we have
before that,
drawn things, lots of things.
We did talk about at the end where PYUYU's going to stay with the Voice, since they had some additional communications and decided to stay together rather than PYUYU leaving on her own as initially planned in episode 20.
That's
so she's staying here until the race tomorrow.
That's right.
And that's, I think, the only major timeline change.
Minor squishiness, timey-wimey, Doctor Who stuff. Yes, good.
Yes.
But yeah, we've got some fun little arts that to look at that we have slowly accumulated. So we got some Beck
from
and
a couple of
Kogi
episodes
in the snow.
back.
Bekogi. And we've got some memes where PYUYU is changing her mind about who she's going with.
Everything just pushes her away from the king.
And
let's
see, I had this one of Beck and Kua walking around, not knowing each other are there, and getting attention. We've got a lineup of the party, which we've had for a while. What a bunch of cool characters. We'll have to do a...
But you can see their heights and their full power here, where Peru and Beck are towering over everyone.
Big, strong boys. Then we have some excellent comments from Phosphine. If you give the Moonstone too much gifts, it will be angry. And if you take too much from the Moonstone, it will be cold. Ah, so we must give, and we must take. This device does not require any sacrifices, says Cup. With her finger on a stick. Ah, man. Goodbye, finger on a stick. We hardly knew you. This device, also known as a pack device, allows a user to absorb, save, and transfer both inorganic and organic materials. By pressing this button on the user interface using a finger on a stick, you can choose between different modes. Ah, that's my girl. And she's teaching the Gidon how to operate the big old pack in the woods.
You see, like Cup is learning a lot about technology. Beck is arming the Gidon.
And we
If
got
Cup
some...
was able to design her own car.
We've got some Puru and
yes.
Pori cuteness, and some more Puru and Pori
The
cuteness.
Paru ship.
Yes.
Yes.
We've got a cool Bojo, new art.
Yes,
With
and
his
his ribbons,
moves.
his power.
Yeah. We've got an Akogi with a Dare shirt after the session where there were kids doing things. No drugs, no violence, bad. Bap, bap, bap.
Ah, I didn't get any nip in my
You
solo
didn't!
episode. No.
You didn't!
No,
I
I
put
keep
them
on
there.
forgetting.
I put people who had it everywhere. You didn't go talk to
Oh
them.
no.
We got another fine Bojo comic. You and your team are standing in my way of achieving the ultimate power. This is Shayon. And Kogi's like, nuh-uh. What do you mean, nuh-uh? Stop healing yourself. You stop attacking me? Well, no. Healing it is then. And then PYUYU shows up. The cavalry is here. Crab walks in. Gran, do something.
That
and
tiny smile is diabolical.
pulls the Glock. Gun. Charm person. And then Granny is in a world full of floss mites and nothing else for the rest of that fight. Here is some cute Bojo and normal
Oh
ship.
my.
Yes. The smile, though.
A very normal
gets me
ship.
every time. It's so funny. We got Mama Gi, the
Mama Gi.
gangster Akogi and her Gidon hit squad.
Her attack Gidon. Yeah, you mess with the mama, you get the gi.
You get the Gi. We've got Bajeo on Instagram, apparently. Feeling pretty to gay. Might change later. Good old phosphine. I love this portrait of Bajeo and Beck in the background. Look at that smiling Beck. This isn't right.
Oh my god. The rare treasure.
Rare smiling Beck. And then we have this, which is just glorious.
Oh, that's perfect.
Look at this Gidon with the flowers in his hair.
It's a Gidon in a sweater and a flower crown.
Perfect. Very good. Well, thank you everyone for joining us in this attempt to reforge what was mostly lost. This way, at least we have a general understanding of the events, and then we can go on from there. So, thanks everybody. I'm going to end the recording. Bye!